Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Are we allowed to do Canadian films? Is that legal?
We've done it before.
Wow.
We've done some Canadian films.
All right. Hopefully they won't come for us.
Yeah,
as they do.
I hope not.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Atanarjuat, the Fast Runner. We are going to butcher so many names.
From one of the oldest cultures on Earth comes a film of tremendous accomplishment and grace. It is a journey unlike any you've traveled, a motion picture unlike any you've seen. A film Roger Ebert calls an astonishing epic film. The Fast Runner.
I know. I apologize ahead of time.
Yeah.
But yes.
I apologize for nothing.
A little bit. I apologize a little bit, but
I apologize
but
a little bit.
We'll do our best.
I mean, it's not weird that we're gonna butcher names. But from here on, I will call him Atanarjuat because I'm almost certain that's how you say the main character's name.
That's pretty much how everybody was saying it in the movie.
Yes. First of all, big old thank you to Steven. Steven is our Patreon producer.
Thank you,
who had
Steven.
us watch this movie. Thank you. Much appreciated because I had seen this movie already. I had seen it 20 years ago. And it was one of those movies that I was fascinated by when I saw it, but it's hard to track down. It's currently only on Apple iTunes.
Yeah.
And I think you can obviously get it on the DVDs and the Blu-rays. This isn't actually like it's a small movie, but it's not a not famous movie.
No, I remember when this came. I didn't see it, but I remember when this came out because it was like it swept Cannes, didn't it? Well, maybe it didn't sweep Cannes. But
It's in Inuktitut, I believe, is the language, and it's the first feature film in that language. It was the highest grossing movie in Canada when it came out that year. I mean, sorry, not of all time or anything like that.
Right.
But yeah, it was a big indie hit. It was done through, however, how other countries
actually subsidize and finance the arts. Yeah.
Yeah, they had to beg for it though because of racism. Because Canada didn't they didn't prioritize what the director says is that they weren't prioritizing indigenous tribe type of stuff and was going more for other Canadian stories. This was shot in northern ass Canada, in an area that people don't film things.
Right.
Some history.
It takes place 2,000 years ago, I think.
It does. Yes. It's a story of two brothers. It's from writings in a journal of Captain George Lyon, according to what I looked at, from 1821.
Okay.
It's an Inuit story. They say it's about 5 centuries old. Part of getting this made, the director had to kind of push it as a documentary, which is funny because it's not a documentary technically, but I get what he was going for.
It's like a docudrama.
Yeah, but it's also it takes place in the past. So it's like a historical reenactment.
Right. It says it takes place at the dawn of the first millennium.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not quite.
It's several hundred years ago. 2,000, not quite. About 1,000, right?
Something like that. Yeah. Just going into it. Yeah, the crew was 90% Inuit.
Mm-hmm.
They filmed it in 1999. The sun was always up, so that wasn't a problem. They used natural light. No real big crew to speak. I mean, there is obviously some.
Which was neat in the credit sequence
credits,
where they were showing you some of how they filmed some of the shots, and it was pretty cool.
Including a animatronic walrus, which I was like, where the fuck was that?
I guess they cut the walrus out. Yeah.
Yeah. This was shot on digital camera, and I imagine that has to do with the fact that I wouldn't want to load film in this environment.
It might not work. I don't know the technical, but I'm certain using digital. In 1999, it was still pretty new, but I'm sure using digital cameras was like the most efficient solution for a production like this.
It was shot in Igloolik, I believe it's what it's called. It's northern Canada. It's a small town with a big Inuit population. The filmmakers were saying that they basically camped because it was they just moved around, camped into the middle of nowhere where there's no roads or anything happening, and they would just wait for the weather to be good and basically then run and fucking shoot because this was a hell of an environment. It's a hell of a production.
It really is. Yeah, even though it's like handheld digital shots and really kind of feels like, especially with certain shots, like certain sequences, really does feel like you're watching a movie that your friends made. It just in terms of like the quality of the film, but it's in this. Every shot is in this like impossible, gorgeous end of the world landscape.
It's fascinating. The movie to me is fascinating because it's this combination of this epic landscape, this
and kind
very
of an epic
authentic
story. Like it's like an historical epic. It's about like a couple of generations of two different families fighting, basically.
Yeah, an authentic tribe like reenactment. Like they of course consulted elders and stuff, and obviously again everybody's Inuit. Everybody. So for that reason, by the way, animals are harmed in the making of this movie. They hunt. You don't see any of the hunting. You see him dive at a rabbit, and then he picks a dead rabbit. So They don't film them killing animals. They do film them beating the shit out of their dogs, though. Yes, they make the bad guy beat his dogs, but they do that effect by just having him do it.
Yeah,
and it's like
he just beats the shit out of his dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. They did in fact kill the animals for this, but they said that they did all the like Inuit traditional, like they used the bodies the same way.
Oh, you can tell that because he's coming back with all this, and they're like really prepping skins and really prepping meat. Yeah. Like they obviously did go hunt and kill animals. They just don't show it. I was being clear. It's not like it's like Cannibal Holocaust.
No, but there's a level of trigger warnings, like the dog abuse is
the
upsetting.
Dog abuse. There is a rape scene. It's pretty quick and it's not gratuitous, but it's there.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not gratuitous, but it's part of the story that they're telling, right?
It is.
It is. I want to talk about, they did deviate from the story in a way that I think is very interesting. The basic story.
Does he kill everybody at the end? Is that the difference?
Yes.
I thought that might have been it because that's like the traditional ending. So I really liked the way this movie ends. Like it kind of takes a curve.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you like this movie? It's.
I actually liked this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. It's a little rough.
Right?
Like it's 3 hours long, so it's a little slow in some parts. Not terribly, because there's always something happening. It jumps around in time a lot, which is a little confusing early on.
Yes, they won't tell you.
There's also some stuff with the language. Like they seem to use brother and sister pretty loosely. So I think they just mean like tribe mate or family member when they say that. So it like some of the relationships were a little confusing at first until like the movie. It's like, oh, okay, that's his wife. She's their grandmother. Like I started to understand what all the relationships were. So it was a little confusing at first, but overall I really liked it. I could have done without beating the dog.
I agree. I think there are things this film could have done differently.
I don't want to like what are you going to do? It's like I don't know. It's
again. Here's what's interesting about this movie. This movie kind of short circuits your brain because I would say it's not for everyone. Everything you're saying, it's drawn out. It probably doesn't need to be this long. It's a little brutal in what it's showing, but it feels like a documentary because it is also trying to be a documentary.
Right. It's really showing you how hard it is to live this life. And I guess I'm disappointed with the dog beating and I don't like it, but I understand why it occurs. I hope I don't get a lot of shit for that. But basically what I mean is this is such an extreme set of conditions to live in. And, apart from, you just want to say it's a cultural thing, but it's such an extreme set of conditions, and they have to train huge groups of dogs to survive. So I don't know how else you do that quickly and efficiently without violence and whips.
It's in two scenes. It's in two scenes, and it's not. Again, I'm not going to defend it, but it's not drawn out or really brutal.
He kicks the dog and hits it with the end of the whip, and that's
right.
it. But it's jarring.
It's not a permanent injury, but it is also
it's jarring when it happens. Yeah,
it is. And again, in the sense of a documentary, it's kind of like an Apocalypse Now when they kill the cow.
Exactly.
Which is there is a cultural aspect.
This is the culture, and I understand.
It's unflinching. Is the idea.
Yes.
And it's it's definitely a conversation to be had. Right?
Yeah, of course. It's, I don't approve of or support violence against any creature.
Right.
But I understand there's a lot of, there's a lot of context here.
Right. And that's why I'm saying this movie isn't really for anybody or everybody. It's more of it's a good story, but it's more of a fascinating film than it. For me, there is one scene that is downright awesome and entertaining, and we'll talk about that. But for the most part, they aren't particularly great actors. Some of them are okay.
Yeah, they're all right,
the movie dwells on showing the reality, so it does feel like a documentary.
It is mostly about the life. This is what living this lifestyle was like, and this is what it cost, this is what it took. We get they don't belabor it, but they're this is how communities worked, this is how different camps worked. This is the basic day-to-day stuff. This is it. So they really are this could have been a bone dry documentary, and it still would have been interesting, but it would have been maybe harder to, I don't know. I think weaving a narrative into it so that we get both was a really good idea.
And it really, again, it short circuits me because the scenes do feel like an indie ass film at times where they're just sitting around talking. It's well shot. Mind you, the filmmaker knows what he's doing.
It is well shot.
But they're shooting on digital. They don't have lights. And again, it's not because this was over $1 million to make this movie, but that's mostly because of where they are. You know what I mean? All the money that you would normally use for equipment, they're using to just shoot in this ridiculously unobtainable location, right?
It's the edge of the earth, man. It's really hard to live there.
Yeah, and so for that reason, it has this vibe of it's just an indie film, but then it's shot in a Lord of the Rings location, and then it's also authentic, like a documentary. So at times I forgot what I was watching from scene to scene. And so
there would be scenes where my brain would lull me into thinking that I'm just watching a documentary.
Right.
And then, of course, another event in the story would happen. Right. These are actors.
Right. This is a story. Exactly.
This is a film.
Right. And you almost forget. And then when they do the credits, they show them all filming and you realize they're all just in the 90s.
Yeah, this is 1999. Fucking Third Eye Blind is on the radio right now.
Yeah, they're all just dressed up in modern outfits, and it's you feel your own racism sneak in. Where I was I guess they wouldn't just be a tribe. They're just wearing modern clothes and just being part of society.
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of it, but it's also part of the.
The film itself feels so authentic.
Because it's presented in such a documentary way. It really is. It really is a docudrama, I think.
Yeah. So the basic outline of the story, and I think if you are a film nerd, film student, or like hearing about like indigenous tribes and history and stuff, then this is for you. There's again some rough scenes, but I don't think this is not like a throw on Sunday morning to relax movie. I don't think. Maybe it is. I don't know. But you get my point. But like the broad strokes of this film is, I pitched it to you as just a guy whose dick keeps getting him into trouble, which is a little simplistic. But it's this main character, Atanarjuat, and his brother, whose name I actually forget. And there's Oki is his romantic rival.
It's his brother is a mock jock.
A mock jock.
And he's like really strong.
Yeah, he's strong, and Atanarjuat is fast. Fast runner.
Yes.
And yeah, it starts as a flashback of this idea of like, I think a curse that's setting in, or like with the elders of the family.
This weirdo, this like weird shaman who he's like they keep calling him a stranger.
Yeah.
So he comes to their camp basically and kills the chief. Like kills not their dad. But he kills the chief and then basically puts this other guy, Sorry, in charge, and like that dude's entire family wants to destroy Atanarjuat and we meet his like mom and dad, and his dad's kind of like having really bad luck, and he's kind of like the laughing stock of the camp because he can't catch anything, so they're giving him shit all the time, and he's like, well, when my sons grow up, they're going to stop making fun of me. Their uncle goes off into the wilderness by himself, basically.
Right.
And that's important for later.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's like the stranger basically comes in, and the voiceover is talking about how like it introduced evil. So it was like this idea that like you could. I think what the idea of this evil, they refer to it a few times at the end of the movie. They're like, we have to get this evil out of our families so that we can finally live together again. I think the idea is that the shaman coming in and just killing the chief and putting Sorry in charge kind of gave Sorry's family, for the rest of the movie, the idea that they can just kill and take and get ahead to do whatever they want.
Yeah, and like you said, it's these two families that are rivaling kind of around the women. Women are not treated well in this. No. I don't think that's lost on the movie, but they also don't call attention to it. Like, I would argue the character, I think her name is Punya.
Pooja.
She's getting a raw fucking deal in this. Well, like, she's getting treated like shit.
She also sucks, Dave.
She does suck.
She straight up gets his brother killed.
Yes, that's
tries
true.
To get them both murdered.
That's true. She rats him out. Yeah, it's more.
It's not that she rats him out. She lies. She invents a story that Atanarjuat was going to kill her. And really, what it was is she and his brother were having sex, and the family got mad and kicked her out of the camp.
Right.
So she goes running back to her family and was like, "He beat me up," and then they go over there to murder him, and they kill his brother, and he runs off to the wilderness, and that's the story.
We'll talk about that. Yeah. That's such a good scene. Yeah, I guess
that's a wild scene. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I was more thinking of like. He marries two women,
and
then he gets so mad with one of them sleeps with his brother, and I'm like, come on, man, are we swingers or are we not?
Yeah, we swing.
You know?
I don't know. It's
a society that, you know, it's like a lot of societies.
Well, they say at one point, like, Amakjak's wife says to Pooja, she's like, you're not even supposed to look at your brother-in-law. So it's clear that there's like some really strict, like, you know, men have multiple wives, but like there's still incredibly strict rules on the women. Yeah.
It's like a 5,000
right,
year old or whatever.
This is supposed to be the dawn of the first millennium.
Yeah, it's a misogynist society is the point. So like I couldn't help but to notice that. Again, it's not like the movie is.
Yeah, of course it is.
Is like saying how great it is. It's that again. This is what the story is. Yeah. You know, they're reenacting a story, and they changed one aspect, which we'll get to. So basically, like, when
I said, of course it is, I just meant like. Most ancient civilizations were misogynist.
Yeah. It feels like a biblical...
at least a great many of them were.
It feels like a biblical story. Like, it feels like...
It's true. Yeah, this is kind of a biblical... You're right, yeah.
Yeah, because it's two brothers, two warring families. Basically, one of the brothers marries the sister from the other family, or I don't know if. No, she's not the sister. That would be
the Oki. Sorry's son Oki, and Oki's kind of the main antagonist. He's betrothed to her, but she's in love.
Atuat, I believe her name is. Yeah.
Yes, Atuat. He's betrothed to Atuat. She's in love with Atanarjuat, and he's in love with her. They basically have to do this like fight ritual to fight over her.
They play punches. I love, by the way, my favorite thing about
they really
this
are kind of playing the slap game. Like,
yes.
It's just,
one of the things I love.
Still, I'm going to fucking club you in the head.
This movie doesn't shy away from the realization that like people are jackasses no matter what year it is.
My favorite.
Because
go ahead. But yeah, that reminded me of something.
They're just jackasses. They're just bros. They're talking about like lifting a rock and imagining it's a woman's butt, and I'm like, what is it? All right, and they're just like punching each other. They're just calling each other names, and it's all kind of petty. It's very
petty. It's very inglorious. Like the thing that popped into my mind when you said this movie just presents everybody like kind of jackasses is when Oki and his two stickmen are sneaking up on Atanarjuat's tent to stab him and his brother to death. And they're kind of doing the creepity creep and like stealth ops. One of them straight up trips and falls on his face and gets right back up and is running after the other guys.
I really appreciate that.
Me too, because it shows, it humanizes it. It's not like this huge epic story or like this glorious feud between these two families. It's just a bunch of petty assholes being stupid and making impulsive decisions.
Right. It takes a mythology and it's like, this is probably what it looked like.
Yeah.
And it's that idea of like people, don't change too much. I mean, there's
people are people. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. So it's,
And so that's what's happening is like,
it's like it reminded me of the end of Unforgiven, where this is a weird connection, but bear with me. When Clint Eastwood is finally like drunk off his ass, he's like, fine, I'm murdering everybody. Like when he kills Gene Hackman and everybody else in the end of Unforgiven, we've heard like about the whole movie about what an incredible badass he was and an incredible gunslinger. He kills them all with like blind luck. Like he almost gets killed like 5 times because he's drunk and clumsy and not paying attention. It's just they all keep fucking up, and part of it is they're fucking up because they're intimidated by his mythology, like what they've heard about him.
Right.
And so it's like that idea I really like, where it's like, well, when you actually see something that's been talked up so much, it's like you forget that it really is just a person. So it's like it's not like a team of elite assassins. It's just 3 bros who are like pissed off at this guy they don't like, and now they have an excuse to go fuck him up.
It's they pretty much say that.
Right. You're like
I should have killed him before.
You're watching 3 guys in a pickup truck, basically.
Yes.
Pulling
you 100% are. Who aren't thinking it through fully.
Yeah.
And what they do is they stab the tent and kill Atanarjuat's brother.
Amakjak, they kill his brother.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that scene, but first, just to wrap up the overall story, I guess. And the difference is it's the cycle of violence, and it ends with him surviving, getting back to the village where
he runs off. Well, he runs off into the wilderness and runs into his uncle and stays with them like through the winter. Basically, he's there for a few months, and then he comes back to the camp. Yeah.
Yeah, and Oki is at the camp. He has since killed the father.
He's killed his own father. It was
he made it seem like an accident.
Well, everybody knew.
Yes. It's real cold-blooded. He stabs him, and then he's just like, oh, no, he fell on his knife. And they take him, all right. They take him back to the camp on a sledge, and he just has this gigantic knife sticking out of the center of his chest. And it's like, he fell on his knife, and it's like, yeah, man. Sure he did. Yeah. All right. That's what we're going with? Okay, fine.
Right. He fell on his knife. Huh? That's the best you could come up with?
And basically this camp is like, well, we need someone to run the show here. And as they're deciding to be Oki, Atanarjuat
shows back up.
Or Atanarjuat shows up. And
with his uncle and his uncle's family. Yeah.
Yes. And what happens is there's magic at play because he this is where he gets bewitched by a rabbit. Oki does, and he becomes like really docile. And his crew is kind of like, what's going on? Are we going to fucking kill Atanarjuat here? Like, this is sort of we got a real, like, Kill Bill situation here. Like, we tried to kill this guy.
Yeah.
And
we
he's
killed
here.
his brother. We chased him naked through miles of ice.
Pretty sure this guy's going to fuck us up.
Yeah. I'm sure he's not happy
just
about
like,
what happened.
Yeah. And sure enough, he's like, hey, guys, you want to go in this igloo with me? And, like, they're like, I guess.
Yeah,
But
Oki's
again,
like,
Oki
man, let's do it.
Yeah, Oki's bewitched at this point because I believe the aunt prayed to the shaman or...
I can't remember who it was, but one of them, either the uncle, the aunt, or the dad, does a ritual with these rabbit's feet that she gave to the uncle before he went off to the wilderness because it was like her father's lucky rabbit feet or something. So one of them does a ritual related to the rabbit because when Atanarjuat is about to go back, like his uncle's like, I'll handle the spiritual element of it. You got to handle the physical. So I think it's him that does the spell, but it's basically they do a rabbit spell on Oki to like make him dumb, basically.
Yeah. And so that's important to me because I think it helps the ending, the new ending helps with this because, basically, he ties antlers to his feet. He puts them in an igloo that's all ice on the bottom, and he fucks all three of them up.
Yeah, he beats the hell out of them with a club.
Yeah, and it's real. It's a real cool idea. Mm-hmm. And he basically is like, it stops here. Violence stops here. They eject them from the the
whole family gets kicked out of the camp. Yeah.
Yeah, but they do a ritual to like cast out the shaman, the evilness. And so it's about breaking the cycle of violence. People have talked about like why they changed it. There was one person like theorized that it's because Inuit they apparently have a lot of Christianity like now in contemporary tribes and stuff, and it's the concept of forgiveness. I would also argue it's just a better story narratively. Because had he killed them all, it would have felt like a cop-out because the guy's just bewitched. Yeah. So it just feels like Deus Ex Rabbit. Like it needed... Because he's handed the revenge, right? It's just like given to him.
Yeah.
So he kind of needed to reject it. I think narratively, it's just a better
I think it's more satisfying.
Idea.
Yeah, it's a better story.
Yeah, because otherwise it's like he kills them, and it's like, yeah, I could kill them in that situation.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't have been sad, but like
no, of course not.
Because they all sucked, but like I like this ending much better. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like he embraces them; they get cast out.
They get fucking ejected.
Yeah, it still feels like people get what's coming to them. It just makes sense in the story that they're telling to break the cycle of violence rather than continue it. That just makes more sense in general.
I think so. Yeah, it's a better story.
Yeah. The thing I've been glossing over is the
chase scene.
My view on this might be the single best chase scene in a movie I've seen.
It's really good.
Yeah. So we've been talking about it is that the Oki stabs the tent, kills the brother, and then our fast runner, Atanarjuat, bolts out of the tent, and they chase him on the ice. The thing that makes this significant, he is completely naked.
Yeah.
Balls out, dick out, everything out. We see it all. Yep. Bare feet. And so it's just a foot chase. It's just three guys chasing one guy. But what makes it so incredible is it's just a fucking ice wasteland. And one of the people, the person being chased, is completely fucking naked. And he's going through all these puddles, like he's falling.
Some of them aren't puddles. Some of them are straight up into the ocean below.
Yes, that's true.
Or whatever they're running across. Yeah,
he jumps like a crevasse at the end to get away from them.
Right, because as they're basically chasing him towards it. Like as the chase begins, it becomes clear. Like he takes off like a shot, and they're all laden down with their furs and their gear. So it's clear they're never going to catch him. But like Oki is so determined, he's having them still pursue him, and he basically says he's gonna hit the crevice and not be able to get past it. And that's like the big fissure in the ice that you're talking about that he has to leap over. Because Oki assumes that they're just gonna flush him into that and he won't be able to get across it, and now he got him.
Yeah. It's also a real rock bottom. If you're getting chased naked in an icy tundra by 3 dudes, that's you've done fucked up.
Something happened. Something went wrong.
Something happened. Yeah, something really went wrong. It's brutal and it's so simple. They like the way they present the chase where like they're all at like a steady jog. Like they stop to drink water. They all do. They like because they realize they're in it for the long haul, right? So they're just like
the best part of that is Atanarjuat does it first, and like he comes to the puddle and kneels down and starts drinking when Oki is like 100 yards away from him, but he knows he has enough time because he knows as long as he keeps moving, Oki will never catch him. He's too heavy. He's too slow.
Right. Yes.
But yeah, as he's running, his feet start getting more bloody. It's really intense and it's really well shot. And it's again, it's keeping with that idea of they're kind of all jackasses because like nobody looks good in this chase. Nobody looks cool in this chase.
There's nothing cool about it.
It's really, really desperate on both sides.
Yeah, they just want to stab him to death with walrus tusks.
Right, and he is just
naked.
He is just running for his fucking life.
Yeah, he's been awake for like 3 minutes. This is his morning. This is just how his morning is starting, and he's butt naked. It's cold, so it's not flattering.
No, he's fucking flying across the ice. He's moving so fast.
Yeah. He's running like a guy who doesn't want to be stabbed to death.
He's running like a guy who doesn't want to die naked in the snow.
It's really something. Like if you watch any part of this movie, watch the chase scene.
Watch the chase scene.
Because as far as I'm concerned, it's up there. It's up there in like top 5 chase scenes.
It's easily the most memorable part of the movie too.
It is, yes. That's how, when I first watched this movie, the person who showed it to me was like, there's a chase scene in this movie that you're not going to fucking forget. And yes, I never forgot this chase scene.
It's pretty unbelievable,
Yeah, I didn't forget, I remembered a lot of this movie, but that was the thing that like, it's a man being fucking chased on the ice while naked.
Despite its length and its kind of real pace, I don't know the right adjective. I don't want to say self-indulgent because that's not right. But it's just really focusing on the lifestyle and the living of it. So I just say, despite its length and its kind of slower pace, the story there's not a lot of beats to it. It's pretty simple.
Right.
I'm not surprised you remembered most of the details. After
it feels
20 years.
It feels almost like an epic because like I always think of like Dr. Zhivago as a movie that like that movie is so long and it takes place over so much time and all it is a love story. And nowadays, we don't make movies like that. We don't say, oh, a love between these two people is worth making a 5-hour movie for, right? And obviously, that's simplistic for Dr. Zhivago. Other things happen in that movie, but that's the main thing we're watching in that film.
Yeah.
And it's a way of telling a bigger story through this smaller kind of personal situation. So this feels similar to that, right? Where it's like we're just talking about 2 families, but it's in such a big place and such a big like stakes, where like it's just so easy to die here. And of course after this chase they assume he's dead, and we get a great scene where I love that scene where he finds the uncle, right, and hides.
Oh, they hide him in the seaweed and Oki's pissing on him.
Yeah, and Oki shows up, pisses on him, and then he's about to leave, and the uncle's like, "You guys want some eggs?" And I was just Atanarjuat, just like could hear him under there, like Jesus fucking Christ, really? Like he just like has them chill out and stay a little longer. It's a great scene, like he's just abused.
Yeah.
But yeah, the point being that it's like it's not. It feels like it has Lord of the Rings type scale. Like that scene reminded me in Lord of the Rings where they're all running across this landscape. But it's such a small story. Like we're saying, these guys are basically in a pickup truck. And I don't know. There's something really cool about that, right?
Yeah.
It's real cool. Cool movie.
It's real cool.
And I do get like watching it again, I get that it feels long because it takes its time. Where like you'll watch like, the part where he's like his second wife, he's flirting with her. It feels like a 10-minute scene where they're just like hanging out. Like it almost feels like a little mumblecore, where like it's just like watching these characters kind of like relax and have casual conversations.
Right, they have
and prep food.
They have like a cute romantic interlude for about 10 or 12 minutes of the movie where they go off to hunt caribou.
Right. He like picks her up and runs in circles.
Yeah.
There's some awkward flirting in this. But again, it feels like these people aren't quite. It doesn't feel like all of them are actors. I mean, they're doing fine.
Yeah. Maybe not professionally, for sure.
But there seems like there's these scenes where they're kind of shooting the shit in a way that feels more natural.
Yeah.
Where that's where you feel like you're watching a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
I love the ritual at the end because they're high as shit. Where it's just two old guys making animal sounds.
Oh yeah,
tusks in his mouth.
Making the walrus noises.
Yeah, just high. The higher than anybody's ever been.
Yeah. I also loved when they were doing the dance where like the two guys have to like each one has to hook a finger in the other's mouth and they spin around.
Yeah. Again, it really depicts the idea of like, okay, so you're in the middle of nowhere. You're at, like you said, the edge of the world. You're in igloos. All you can do is survive. How do you entertain yourself? You just do stuff. It's just like you just see who can hit each other the most, or you sing songs, or you dance. And it really showed like, I felt like it really kind of showed the boredom a little bit. And the way like these people like can build these rivalries because it's a very, small group of people.
And the reason why you can't just, because of rivalry, like they can't just like pack up and move. Like you depend on the group for survival. So it's like they couldn't just, even after what happened, they just sort of have to like kind of accept it. Because what's the alternative? Oh, we go off 2 or 3 of us into the wasteland alone and probably die.
It's not what I like about it is it doesn't belittle these people or this time by making them seem very human. Like this could take place in a mall.
They do.
You know what I mean?
They're very, very modern.
Right, and
in the way they speak and behave, and
right. At least in the subtitles, Well,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm glad they did it that way, and I'm glad it almost feels kind of petty, but also like they're not all shitty people. There's good people, there's bad people, there's like, again, it's like, it's cliquey, but at the end, of course, they choose nonviolence, which is ultimately saying like, these people aren't, like, again, it all feels very relatable, very human, and very emotional in a way that isn't belittling, but rather just makes them feel real.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that about this, because I think a story like this could easily be done in a way to make, like, to go the opposite way. And part of it is, like, the lower budget in this real location. Because, again, it's shot on digital, and you can tell. You can really tell.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure it's since
there's a couple of shots in particular where it's like you can see the outline of the lens.
Oh yeah. But it doesn't really matter.
No, doesn't matter.
Yeah, because it's an interesting story. It's a compelling world.
Every landscape we're seeing is like incredible.
Right. Yeah. Normally these are places like Christopher Nolan is creaming his pants watching this.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just like these are locations that other filmmakers would love to shoot at, and so it's just, I don't know, it's really cool to watch. Again, this film is fascinating because like I've watched it twice in the last 20 years, and that feels like enough. Like it's not a fun movie.
No,
it's
I
got
call
that
it
chase. Right, it's kind of intense. It's kind of upsetting. I think it's
maybe not really
slow.
intense, but it's pretty intense. Like especially with the tension that you feel building up in the conflict between the two families. So like when the finale finally comes around, you're like, Jesus, man, I hope this turns out okay for everybody.
Right, where you're like, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen here. They're both once they both converge again at the end, you're like, shit.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah. Shit.
I mean, that's what Oki's stickmen say. They're like, what are we going to do? He's like, what do you mean? He's like, a friend. We'll invite him back in the camp. And like,
right.
I think Oki ate too much of that rabbit because he's talking crazy shit now.
Exactly.
This dude's going to kill us.
Freaking haunted rabbit.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, when he was like, I've got some fresh meat back in my igloo. Oki, you and your two buddies come first. He's like, all right.
Yeah, one of the friends
like,
should be like, we need to go. Like, yeah, they should be like, listen, Oki, we love you, man. We're going to let you just go get murdered here because we...
Yeah. The other guy and I have been talking. We're concerned with your decisions, your decision-making process as of late.
Yeah. I don't know how to say this, but we think you were bewitched by a rabbit. So, I know that's weird, but...
We're going to invoke... what is it? I forget. Joke died. But whatever amendment it is when you have to take the president out of office because they're unfit.
Yeah.
We're gonna need that chief necklace back, man. Yeah. You're not making the right decisions right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I got nothing else to say. It's a fun movie. Fun's the wrong word.
I just got done saying it wasn't fun, but yeah,
it's a fun movie. Get the kids together, watch the movie.
It's definitely it's quite an experience to watch it.
It really is. Again, it's a very unique film.
Can't recommend it for everybody. There is some actual animal abuse in it.
Yes.
There's
it's raw. It's very, again, it's something that you kind of have to watch from almost like a fucking detached.
Just remember the context of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll help.
And I mean, those dogs are long dead. All the animals in this. So I don't know if that makes you feel better. It's a 20-year-old film.
22 at this point.
22, yeah.
And I mean, even older, technically. They filmed it in 99.
Right. Yeah, it took like 3 years or something to film. Because of course it
didn't premiere until 2001.
Yeah. But it's I get why it got hugely good reviews and stuff because it was just I think
it's so unlike anything else I've seen.
Right, and it still isn't. That's the thing. 20 years later, it's still unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's what's kind of incredible about it. Is it's just like no one else has made a movie like this. Although the filmmaker did go on to actually make more movies like this. But at the time, no one had made a movie like this, and it's still incredible to watch. So, as from a film perspective, again, if you're into, movies, film history or cultures and stuff like that, it's just a really fucking rewarding watch. But if you're just like, you're at a party and you want to throw it on, which is funny because I watched this at the punk house I lived at. Just a bunch of punks getting drunk, getting together, watching this movie. Yeah.
Really having an experience together.
We did that. We had like geek movie nights, so it made more sense at the time, but it's very funny. Me and my friends were
doing the same thing. We'd get fucking hammered and watch some weird surreal art film that we found at the video store. Yeah, like I get it.
Yeah. But if you're having like a slumber party, maybe don't throw this on. It's a heavy movie.
Yeah.
But very good.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this. Yeah. I wasn't quite sure what to expect going into it.
Yeah. It's I had it, having already seen it, I had that with me, but I knew that this was a movie that's like you start watching, you're like, what the fuck am I watching? What is this? Because again, it's so different. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Atanarjuat, the Fast Runner. Get it today on iTunes, which is again weird. Like this is not a small movie. It should be more
wasn't
available.
At all. Maybe that's just the state in America. Like maybe I'm sure this is probably widely available in Canada.
Oh yeah, that's true. So yeah, thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen.
For making us watch this movie.
Sure.
We appreciate you. We love you deeply, intensely.
Yeah, we'll go that far.
Like too much.
Yeah, it's really
much.
uncomfortable, honestly.
Yeah. And this was through our Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed, GAMEFULLY, unemployed. We have exclusive podcasts on there like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, Spiel Boys. We watch movies every Friday night with our patrons. This is not a movie we will be watching.
No, for a number of reasons.
Be watching this movie. Not gonna happen unless we're really mad at them. Unless we're like, all right, everybody's gone too far. We're putting on Atanarjuat and everybody's being quiet.
Nobody's going to
watching
talk.
it. Yeah. But yeah.
Absorb this piece of art.
Point is, check out our Patreon.
Yeah, please do. We also have a store. Head over to gameplayunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store where we have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs so you can get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of things. So slap your betusked peepers onto that. Your big animatronic walrus tusk peepers. So mad we didn't see that walrus.
It's the biggest reveal of the movie is the animatronic walrus in the end credits. I really hope it was like a really dumb scene. Like while naked he like fights and kills the walrus.
Yeah.
Or the walrus talks to him or something. And they watch the movie and they're like, why is this scene in this? This is the only scene like this. Why would we do this?
I don't know.
Walrus
Maybe the walrus
cocaine.
just didn't look that good.
Has the voice of Quentin Tarantino. They get him just for the scene.
Oh no, like an audibly coked out Tarantino. It is 99.
A coked out Tarantino, I guarantee, has watched this movie while talking about it to a group of people, right? Like people have. There's got to be a person who's had an insufferable night with Quentin Tarantino playing this movie for them.
Yeah, that is.
Is that fair?
No, that's absolutely happened.